everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. A very tense and confusion day in Boise, Idaho, out front of the Ida County courthouse. It's been a very crazy 48 hours in all of this unfolding in Bryan Kohberger's case. We had the victim families out there. We had Kohberger's family out there. We're going to get to some comments from Steve and Christy. Actually, just Steve Goncalves today, and like all over the place. It's been crazy. It has literally been crazy. We watched the plea deal live here on the channel this afternoon. We had some reaction. I had my friend Adam Teeper jump up. He's a lawyer here in the area and gave us his kind of take on all of this too. It's been very confusing and it's been very overwhelming, I'm sure, for everybody in the state of Idaho, especially the victims' families. It's been torn. It's been torn on both sides. Some families are for it and one family is not. So we're going to get to a lot of that tonight. And what I'm actually waiting for is the Banfield episode to come on. She'll be on at 10 p.m. And I want to play that episode because I'm wondering if Steve and Christy are going to get up and talk. I know they're still under gag and evidence has not been unsealed. And I wonder if it ever will be. Will we hear all the details of what happened? But today I felt like it was a very cop-out way that this went down. Bill Thompson, of course, had to read the versions of the events that the prosecution were going to bring forward in the case. And essentially, Kohberger just said yes and no. There were no details. And I don't think we're ever going to really get it. But we heard the version of that. And we'll play that before we get to Banfield's episode today. So it's good to see everybody here. Make sure to smash the like button when you come in. And if you haven't, subscribe here to the channel. But let's get to some things that went down today. There is a new statement from Steve from the family. Goncalves family says, today was the day for answers. Let me see my screen up here. Today was the day for answers, the day to find out what happened, to find out what really anything about what the defendant did that night and why he took four beautiful people. At least that's what we hoped for, but hope is really all we had today. The plea started off with a judge who was angry about people reaching out to him and then went further to stand on his soapbox stating nothing affects his decision in this case or any other case and has not and will not read any comments. I thought that was a little gaslighting. Maybe that wasn't the best way to start a plea involving the murder of four Idaho college students. Our hope is that judge might reflect back on his decision today and take the high road next time and not make a plea of a murderer about him and his decisions. Maybe he will show some empathy to the victims' families who have been through this torture chamber for the last 2 years while he's become involved just a few months ago. Then the plea began with the defendant claiming responsibilities for his actions with one-word responses. All were sufficient for the court and the prosecuting team because that is what this plea was about today, the court and the prosecution. A plea that makes everything go away for them and lets them get it back to their normal routine. This plea did not represent the victims' families. It represented an easy way out with no answers. Everyone loves the justice system until you get involved with it. Then you really see what most of the time the cases and resolutions have nothing to do with the victims. At least that was our experience. We will move on to sentencing and we'll be hopeful that the court will allow some much needed grace moving forward. And finally, the family won't have to deal with a bumbling Latah County prosecution team. Once again, we want to thank everyone for their continued support and prayers and appreciation. Everyone has gone on this journey with us. Wow. Powerful statement. Very powerful statement. And I can understand Steve's frustration. I can understand that family's frustration. And let's get to another statement here by Steve. And this was outside Ida County Court
For
today.
Idaho News 6, I'm senior reporter Don Nelson. It was pretty clear what was happening inside the Ada County Courthouse with one look at what was happening outside the courthouse on Wednesday. Dozens of media outlets from around the country came to Boise for the plea agreement hearing for murder suspect Bryan Kohberger. Since the early morning hours, media crews were setting up camp waiting to hear from the family members of the 4 University of Idaho students who were stabbed to death in their off-campus house in 2022.
Is this justice?
No.
No.
Kaylee Goncalves' family arrived, but Kaylee's father, Steve, did not go in. He decided not to go as a protest to the plea agreement. I caught up with Steve as he was walking away from the courthouse.
How's the family holding up?
We're all disappointed. We're very disappointed. We worked too long, too hard for half-ass efforts.
Is that directed towards Judge Hitler?
Hitler hasn't done anything. He inherited this. Hopefully he can fix it. I'm not blaming nothing on Hitler. I'm putting this all on Thompson and Flatel County. You know, they tore that house down. They've done everything to hide this. Why did this get done over the weekend? As soon as the investigation starts, they're cowards. They're running from it.
When the hearing was over, Steve came back to meet his family, and I asked him if he changed his mind at all.
Steve, did your opinion of the Latah County prosecutor change after hearing him lay out the case that he would have presented?
No.
Yeah.
Just furthermore, he had the strongest case, and it was a case given to him by the FBI agents, and he just let it slip through his fingers.
Was there anything he said that surprised you?
No, not really.
Attorney Leander James, representing family members of victim Madison Mogan, says the Mogan family is pleased with today's proceedings and agreed the plea deal was the best option to move forward.
We support the plea agreement 100%. While we know there are some who do not support it, we ask that they respect our belief that this is the best outcome possible for the victims, their families, and the state of Idaho. We now embark on a new path. We turn from tragedy and mourning. We turn from darkness and uncertainty of the legal process to the light of the future. We have closure.
The sentencing hearing is scheduled for 3 weeks from right now, right here at the Ada County Courthouse.
Yeah.
Reporting from downtown Boise, I'm senior.
So let me ask you, do you think that justice was served today? Do you feel like justice was served? Let me know in the chat. Do you feel like justice was served today? No in between, no maybe. I need to see a yes or no. Let's take a gauge here in the chat. All right, let's hear a little bit more from Steve. And then I want to get to Banfield at 10. Anjanette Levy out front of Ida County Courthouse today caught this by Steve.
I mean, it was good enough for mine.
Do you have any message for Kohberger's family?
Yeah, what do you want?
We know when you flew out here. We know. We have your flight records.
How are you preparing to see him today?
I'm not going to see him.
When you say you know the flight records, what do you mean, Steve?
I know when his parents booked their flight. When his father did.
What does that mean?
You'll find out.
Would you like to say something to them?
No, I don't care about it.
The rest of your family went inside. Is it important for them to be in there today?
Yeah, for sure.
Where are you going? Are you not able to get it?
Getting out of this zoo.
You're not staying in?
No, I'm not going to.
So here's 2 ways that I take this. He said, I know when his father booked his flight. I know when the family booked their flight. First, he said family, I believe. Let me go back to that. I want to replay that. I'm trying to read it in between the lines here. Let's go back.
Guys, I mean, it was good enough for mine.
Do you have any message for Kohberger's family?
Yeah, what do you want?
We know when you flew out here. We know.
We know when he flew out here. Okay, hang on.
We have your flight records.
We have your
How are
flight
you preparing
records.
to see him today?
I'm not going to see him.
When you say you know the flight records, what do you mean, Steve?
I know when his parents booked their flight.
I know when his parents booked his flight. Booked their flight or his flight? I wish it was closed captions, but there's
Parents
not.
booked their flight.
I know when,
What do you mean, Steve?
I know when his parents booked their flight.
I know when his parents booked their flight. So maybe he's saying they knew way ahead of time that this was going to go down, and meaning that the prosecution did not give them the information or the opportunity to talk about this. They made a deal. Exactly. Booked there. Yes. And BK's dad knew all along. They knew. They knew. They had a heads up. Kohberger must have been timing this and telling them. Is he insinuating that his parents knew the pleading guilty before they did? Yes. That's what I'm saying. Right there. They knew. And Steve is this is crazy. Let's see. In my opinion, I think Mr. Steve should have stood by his family. I think it was wrong. They told everyone to contact the judge personally, then complain. It's such mixed emotions in all of this. It's very difficult. Steve was very, very, dead set on this going to trial, letting the jury of his peers make the decision, let the community make this decision, and ultimately let this, if it was, through a jury of his peers, Bryan Kohberger gets convicted, that he would face the firing squad. It's kind of an eye for an eye. I understand. I get it. I get the high emotions here. There was another quote from Steve. I want to go back. I'm going to go up through Anjanette Levy's. Let's see. She had another quote. This is another quote from Steve. Hang on. My screen is all messed up right now. Here we go. Let me play this. Let's go back.
He didn't give us the common courtesy to negotiate with us, even pretend. He could have just pretended and then lied, but he didn't even pretend. He basically said, your guys' input isn't needed.
The judge could hear one thought from you that he should remember. What is it?
He's going to own this. He's going to inherit what Thompson did, and he's the only one that can fix it. He's the only one who can make it right. He needs to protect those other surviving victims and make this person say that they had nothing to do with it. He did it solely. He did it all on his own, and nobody else was responsible.
And that goes to a lot of the speculation that Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk have been involved in this all along. Steve wants all of the names cleared, and I can understand that. It should have been done today. Cleared those names. It needs to be brought up in sentencing. Clear those names.
We won't keep having these supporters always saying that he got set up. We know what he's planning on doing. Somebody died, a vet died, and he's going to try to say that, put the blame on that person. So he's not going to take accountability. And Thompson didn't force him to take accountability. He didn't even negotiate. That's terrible.
You don't think 4 life sentences is justice?
No, of course not. It's daycare. Prison is daycare, people.
Steve, if you could tell the judge one thing today, what would it be?
Do what's right. Do what you know. 4 people died in their sleep. If we had 4 other people that weren't college students, this would be the death penalty.
What do you want us to know about Kaylee today?
Kaylee would be ashamed of what happened today.
What do you want to happen? Why do you want this to go to trial?
Because then my peers, this community, will decide that he's guilty. We can take it out of freaking Thompson's hands. One man shouldn't decide what 4 souls are worth.
You said they made a deal with the devil?
Yeah, they did. That's Thompson. Thompson made a deal with Kohberger. He was the only person that was considered.
What do you think of the other families who are
Wow.
glad this is happening?
Wow. Eesh. Gretchen says, I do think that the surviving victims won't have to testify. Trial and deal is with ongoing process of death penalty appeals. In fact, Bryan Kohberger pleading is a good thing. Well, there's no appeals. That's off the table. They won't have to testify, is correct. Ralph says he wants a trial. Yeah, he wants a trial. He wants a trial. Tracy thinks that he's unhinged. You think that Steve is unhinged? Why? Because he's fighting for the life of his daughter that was taken from him? That he's fighting for real truth and justice in this case, not a plea deal where Bryan Kohberger will live out his days in prison while they have to live every single day without their daughter? You think that Steve is unhinged? Really? That's very interesting. He admitted he did it. What more can you get? I don't get it. Did he really admit to it? He said yes and no. He should have been ordered by the court to confess in detail and at least give the family that. At least said, I solely did this on my own. There was no one else involved. And this is what I did. Just like the BTK killer had to get up and confess with ultimate detail. Ultimate detail. Again, we're waiting for Banfield to come live. I'm pretty sure that show is going to be very interesting tonight. I wanted to show everybody something because I always find when you go to the Massachusetts court system to try to find documents or live streams, it's a mess. And look how slick this is from the Ida County Courthouse. Look at this. Slick presentation, easy to read. You can get right into the live stream. I mean, why cannot the state of Massachusetts replicate this? Our court websites are a mess. And I want to show this as well. There was 2 more documents filed in court this afternoon. We have the plea agreement signed at the bottom. Let's see, the state of Idaho and through the Latah County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, and the defendant's attorney, Ann Taylor, stipulate the following plea agreement. And it has all the following charges and the counts, life sentences. And there it is, folks, signed by Bryan C. Kohberger. Bryan C. Kohberger. You know, we heard about the vet that Steve is talking about. And if anybody doesn't know, right around that time, there was a situation with a vet, Brent Kopacka. And I went on about this over and over and over and over again. I actually have the file. It's pretty lengthy. And I started to actually go through it online. I had some of the body cam footage, not all of it. And I was going to re-inquire about that. But there is no way in that lengthy report that says that Brent Kopacka was involved in any of the Idaho 4 murders. And that's what Steve is saying. Clear that poor guy's name because he's been dragged under the rug in this too. And there was a lot of conspiracy around that about Brent Kopacka's involvement in the Idaho 4 murders. Didn't happen. It did not happen. And there's no evidence to lead to say that he was involved in that. Coffee Cakes, I'm just wondering if Brent Kopacka was involved in this too. I mean, that Kohberger and Kohberger both with the same names. No, let's put all that to rest. I don't from what I find, and I have the case file, I've read through it. There's no involvement. You just leave Brent Kopacka alone. He was a vet, obviously had some extreme mental health issues from his time in combat. It was reported that he had been hit in combat in the head and was suffering a mental health crisis. So there's that. Lauren says, I don't think Steve is unhinged, but I do think his mind is understandably clouded by grief right now. Listen, if I was Steve, I would be in the same situation. I would feel the same way. I'd probably be saying the same things. It's extremely emotional. His daughter is gone, and Bryan Kohberger is going to live out the rest of his days in prison with TV, heat, maybe air conditioning, access to books, access to a tablet, access to phone calls with his family. The Goncalves family does not get that ever again. The 3 other families do not ever get that ever again. Here's another document here. Written factual basis, admitting to all of the charges. And again, signed by Bryan C. Kohberger. Bryan C. Kohberger. Just waiting a couple more minutes here for Banfield to start. I want to see if Steve is going to come on tonight or what Banfield has to say about, what went down today. Never Forget says this case was handled horribly by the prosecution in the state. Let's see. Barbara says, do you really think he will survive? I wonder if there will be a hit on him while in prison. It's the thing you have to think about. He is a very high profile person now, according, to being in prison. So I'm pretty sure that he's going to be in protective custody probably for the rest of his life. But if there's a will, there's a way. If there's a will, there's a way. And I mean, look at Jeffrey Dahmer. They found a way to get to him. I want to just recognize this. Cindy, thank you so much for the $50 super sticker. I do appreciate that. And thank you for your support. Let me just adjust this. And again, we're just waiting for Banfield to start. Probably about another 5 minutes, and we'll pop over there and watch her episode tonight because she's been on, and I'm sure Brian Enton's going to be on. He was out there reporting today. Yeah, Dama did get his. Sophie checking in. Good evening. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Smash the like button when you come in. If you haven't done that, feel free to chat here. Dee says, I feel so bad for all these people. The pain this creep caused is disgusting. Absolutely. The thing that was very tough about this case is that it was under such extreme seal for such a long time until it got moved over to Judge Hippler. And Judge Hippler finally started to unseal documents and letting some of this information out. Oh, I love this. Hanky Skidmark says, LTL, I like, but you're milking this. He admitted it. It's over. Well, there's called things that are post conversations to go through and look out the fallout of situations. We can talk about it and we can speculate about it and we can have community discussions like we're having here tonight. If you don't like it, just go away. It's not a problem. I have mods for that. Mods can take care of that person. But this is what we do. This is how we learn. We have conversations. We discuss things. There are many post conversations still going on in the Karen Reed case, and that's fine. You're allowed to speculate and talk about things with all the new information that we've heard. Why do you think we do YouTube channels? To talk and have public conversations. I love it. It's late night, folks. I love it. Oh, BK acted alone. It's over. Let's move on. Can you tell me what we should talk about? Please give me some subjects here in the chat. Please. Maybe we can line up my next lives and have you come over and host them. I'm going to tell you, there's going to be people that come out. There's going to be witnesses that talk. The family will continue to talk. Still a lot of content here to talk about. And I'm going to be curious, what comes out over the next couple of weeks. Again, just waiting for Banfield to start. I mean, literally, this case is still fresh. It just happened this afternoon. I'm milking it. That's good. I like that. Let's just do this. Have a good night. All right. Again, waiting for Banfield to start. Yeah, exactly, Debbie. We talk about it. Paula says she loves the recaps. I do too. Because it lets us learn. It lets us learn about situations that we have the curiosity about and what the after effects will be. Let's see. Let's do that. Tsunami asking, who's Papa Rogers? The real question. Do we think it was Kohberger? I do. Lauren says, why do people watch shows if they don't like them? It's so weird. I know, but it's cool because I get a click and a view. That's what's good about it. That's what's great about it. That click and view. Thank you very much. About another minute, and then we're going to bounce over to Banfield Live and get her take on this. I'm sure Brian Enton will be checking in with her tonight. And I want to thank everybody for checking in with me tonight. I appreciate it. So Yeah, I hope so, Dina Jam. I hope so. I hope Steve does. I hope Steve does. All right, let's go over. Banfield is starting now. Let's check in.
If you are in the true crime community, what a day. I haven't had a day like this, I think, since OJ maybe, or Casey Anthony, but
Let's
what
boost it
a
little bit
day.
here.
Sean Diddy Combs finds out he's partially not guilty and partially guilty. Finds out he is not getting out of jail anytime soon. Nope. He is right back tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern, probably laying his head on a prison pillow at the MDC in the Southern Manhattan, right? Because the judge said, you're too dangerous to let out. You're too violent. My words, but effectively, that's what the judge said in denying him bail. And he's got another 4 months or so till October to find out how long he's going to spend in federal prison for 2 counts of violating the Mann Act, prostitution across state lines. Okay? Could be 20 years. If it just goes to the 9th, right? The nth degree, it could be 20 years. Probably not, but it could be. So he's going to have to stick it out. It's going to be a crappy summer for Sean Combs in the federal lockup until he finds out if it's going to be a crappy 5 or 10 or 20 years in prison. And all of this happening at the same time that one of the biggest stories, I dare say, of the last 10 years, right? The Idaho quadruple murders, the mystery of why a man would break in to a home where 4 students were sleeping peacefully and brutally slash them to death, stab them to death. I've had to say a man for 2.5 years. And tonight I say Kohberger did it because he showed up in court in that tan shirt and tan tie. And that was the look, staring straight ahead. I don't know if you noticed this, but a producer I work with said, did he shave his eyebrows? And I tried to get a really close look at all these pictures. I mean, I looked closely, but those eyebrows were not the same as the ones that we'd heard about and read about, bushy eyebrows that one of the surviving roommates at 1122 King Road said she saw. Look at those eyebrows. You tell me. Did he shave those eyebrows? Something's changed profoundly, but it doesn't matter. If Bryan Kohberger, you were preparing for trial and thinking that shaving your bushy eyebrows might save you from the firing squad, well, you aren't going in front of the firing squad, but you aren't going to live amongst us ever again, because today we can call you one of the most foul beasts among us. You are a sick and twisted murderer, quadruple murderer.
100%.
You said so yourself. My hair stood on end when I heard him. My hair stood on end. Finally utter the words akin to a confession of sorts. I want you to see it for yourself. Take a look.
Here we go.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, enter the residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder?
Yes.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
Did you, on or about that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Kaylee Goncalves, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
And did you, on that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
And then on or about November 13th, 2022, again in Latah County, Idaho, did you kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being?
Yes.
Did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
All right. Based on the state's proffer and importantly, based upon defendant's explicit admission to committing these crimes, the court finds there is a factual basis. Therefore, with respect to count 1, burglary, felony, how do you plead, Mr. Kohberger, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 2, murder in the first degree, as it relates to the murder of Madison Mogan, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 3, as it relates to murder in the first degree for the murder of Kaylee Goncalves, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 4, the first degree murder of Xana Kernodle, a human being, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Wow.
As to count 5, the first degree murder of Ethan Chapin, a human being, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Right. The court will find that the defendant understands the nature of the charges and each offense and the possible consequences to him of his guilty plea. The court finds that there is a factual basis for the plea and that finds the defendant believes the plea to be in his best interest. I find that the plea was given freely, voluntarily, and was intelligently made. I accept the plea. I direct that it be entered.
I'm not going to lie. It caught in my throat that Judge Hippler pronounced Xana Kernodle's name wrong twice. That was upsetting to me because I'm not on that case. I know her name. I care about her. I care about all 4 of those victims so intently that I listened to every moment of that proceeding. And I was just so disgusted by the tone of voice of Bryan Kohberger, the murderer. Just matter of fact, yes, guilty, whatever. Profound, just perfunctory. So as we were processing this, I told you, what a day. Everything else was happening on the other coast in New York. Again, Diddy, more activity. We had to wait till 5 o'clock today to find out, is Diddy going to get out of jail?
Did he do it?
Waiting his sentencing. Will he have some kind of a appeal where he'll be able to be with his family while a long appellate process plays out before sentencing? And it didn't work for him. Didn't work for him at all. Nope, the judge said, no, you're not going anywhere. And then his lawyers, late in the day, if you missed this, came out on the courthouse steps to talk to the huge crowd and to the reporters who were all waiting. And this is what Mark Agnifilo, his lead attorney, said.
Today's a great victory. It's a great victory for Sean Combs. It's a great victory for the jury system. You saw that the Southern District of New York prosecutors came at him with all that they had. They're not stopping, but one thing stands between all of us and a prison, and that is a jury of 12 citizens. And we had a wonderful jury. They listened to every word, and they got the situation right, or certainly right enough.
We'll see if he feels the same way in October when the judge takes into account what he wants and what the prosecution wants in terms of a sentence. Okay, I'm going to flip back now again to Kohberger because this has been a true crime day. Senior national correspondent Brian Enton has been on this story since the very first day. He has been in Idaho for almost every single hearing. He is there live now. Brian, you were in court. Just take me there. Tell me all the feels.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot. You know, it started with us lining up outside the hallway. Some people were here 5 or 6 hours early. We were all silent inside while the victims' families walked by and took their seats first. We went in. The first thing I noticed when Bryan Kohberger came in is what you noticed. His eyebrows were a lot less bushy.
Wow.
He had a fresh haircut. His hair was much shorter. He was skinnier than I remembered seeing him last time. And then it all started. And I think I was waiting for some kind of emotion, finally. I mean, some kind of remorse. And it just never came. I mean, when he would say yes or guilty,
wow,
I was just staring at him. Just, is there a little something on his face that like shows that he feels bad? And it never came. It never came, Ashley. It reminded me of like when you're on the phone with an automated system trying to get someone and you either say yes or no, and you just want to get the person on the phone, the operator. Like, that's the way he was answering the questions. Like, this wasn't about 4 innocent people murdered. And he never showed any emotion, just sat there, Ashley.
I wonder if he enjoyed the control that he had in that courtroom, if he felt like it was control. Certainly isn't control there. We're dictating his life. The community, we're dictating his life from now on. But I was surprised when I heard Judge Hippler refer at the beginning of the hearing to both families, the families of the victim and the family of the victims and the family of the defendant. Talk to me about the Kohbergers finally coming out west and attending one of these hearings.
Yeah, I sat right behind them. It just so happens that my seat was right behind the Kohberger.
Wow.
So I was watching Bryan the whole time, but then I would switch and stare at his parents just to kind of see how they were reacting. They never cried.
Wow.
They never like weeped or anything like that, but you could see a sadness on their face. They were sad, and especially when it was over and they had us all remain seated, and they let everybody out first, the families, and the Kohbergers went out, and I could just see the way they stood up and walked out that they were taken aback by this, but their son wasn't. And I was just wondering what they were thinking. Like, they at least had a look of concern on their face, but their son, it was just stone cold, Ashley. It was just like any other day.
And, there we were on the East Coast in Manhattan, where Diddy was standing up and clapping for the gallery and saying, "Mom, I love you," like out loud. And here were
Always
these
a show.
poor, long-suffering Kohberger parents who'd come out to support their son, and he ghosted them effectively in court.
I wondered, like, someone asked me, did they ever look at each other? I never noticed. Usually you'll see some kind of eye contact or some kind of little smile or just a little moment between, a defendant and the family. I never saw that even once. I was wondering, like, did they get some time with him before or after? Because it's so weird. They never even locked eyes during the hearing. The prosecutor Bill Thompson did get emotional at one point when he read this statement where he went over the evidence, Ashley. A lot of it was stuff we knew. There was some, just horrible, horrible stuff about how Kohberger, which we've always wondered about, Ashley, he parked, they say, up in the back of the house, which we never knew, up on that hill up in the back of the house. It's actually where I would always park when I was out there doing stories. And he parked up there. He went in through a kitchen sliding glass door, which we had suspected, but we never actually heard prosecutors say. And he went up to the third floor first, brutally stabbed and killed Kaylee and Maddie. And the prosecutor alluded to the fact that they were the targets. And he never said why.
Yeah,
but he said that that's
tell us
who.
why.
Basically, he said that that's who Kohberger was there to kill. But when he was going down the stairs, he encountered Xana, and then killed Xana, stabbed her to death, and then stabbed and killed Ethan to death in his sleep.
And of course, Xana had gone out to get a DoorDash delivery. And who knows if that was the reason that she encountered this vile killer.
Yep.
And but for the DoorDash delivery, might she have remained in her bedroom like the other roommates, and she and Ethan might be alive because perhaps Kohberger went there just to kill Maddie and Kaylee. Perhaps he went there just to kill one of them, Maddie or Kaylee, but they were in the same bed. There's so many what ifs, and maybe we'll get answers, closer to the sentencing, and certainly when the gag order is lifted after the sentencing.
Yeah, I want to hear everything.
Bryan, stay with me for a moment. I want to bring into our conversation Steve Goncalves, who is Kaylee's father, and his attorney, Shannon Gray, who have, endured the wrath of all of this for 2.5 years. Steve, I watched you earlier today. My heart was breaking as you, in protest, left court, because it's no secret you were not on board with this plea bargain. You're not the only family member not on board. I just wanted to touch base with you and just see how you are tonight. How are you processing, and what your thoughts are after this momentous day?
My family feels used. We feel like they took Kaylee's name and they used it as a weapon. They used it for a reason to commit whatever decision that they had, but it wasn't a share. It wasn't something that the community agreed on. It wasn't something that we agreed on. as the victims of the families. It was a script. It was just a script that they had. And we just were just another name on a spreadsheet. And they just went through the system, and it was business as usual. But this isn't a family as usual. We're not a normal family. We're going to fight back. You're not going to play us. You're not going to use my daughter's name and literally pretend like we believed in your plea deal. We didn't. We believe in our community. We believe in our peers. We believe in a jury. We believe in the process. And maybe we're fools. Maybe we are complete fools for believing you should have a trial to put somebody in prison for life or kill them. But I'd rather be a fool than to believe in the system that I see before me.
I agree, Sassy. I agree.
Steve, you made the trip to Boise with your family. Did any prosecutors or anyone from the prosecutor's office reach out to you or anyone with your family either before the hearing, at any point outside the court, or after the hearing?
The only people who reach out to me are agents that aren't part of this court system that have warned me to be careful with this court system. And shame on me for not listening. Shame on me for letting Kaylee down. It's my mistake. I'm sorry, Kaylee. I'm truly sorry that I didn't get you a prosecutor who really believed what happened to you could only be fixed with life. Fixed, you killed 4 people, and to take 1 life for 4 seems like pretty simple math. But these guys describe this as a win, even though they don't ask us what a win looks like. So I'm sorry. I apologize to my daughter. I let her down, and it's been a terrible day. It's been terrible.
Steve, I'll go on the record saying there's been no stronger advocate for your daughter than you.
Sassy,
I get it. It's been a
YouTube.
terrible day, but I really don't want you going forward thinking you haven't done everything. You have done everything and more for Kaylee. Look, I see the system. I know the system. Shannon, weigh in. You know the system. You're a lawyer. You're in Idaho. I haven't seen an advocate like Steve has been for his daughter in any case I've covered.
Steve is, he's a rock, right? He's a rock for the family. He's a rock for this prosecution moving forward and gathering evidence and facts. And I mean, we've had dozens of meetings where we basically sat in and told them what they should be doing, and them sitting down and taking notes about things. But we all the time just trying to keep confident in the prosecution. And it was not what the victims wanted. It wasn't what the Goncalves family wanted, and the way the process was for notifying them, and it just puts a bad taste in your mouth about all of it. And and even talking with Steve and Christy today, the tone of the judge today was, I think they felt, was completely improper. And so there was a lot of things that, you walk away after 2.5 years of just being completely demonized and hassled and trolled and you name it on the internet and everybody else. And for it to end this way, not only the outcome of it, but also the way that it happened, just seems really unfair and completely uncalled for.
Steve, you've got a month to prepare a victim's impact statement. You can say anything to this court.
Yeah.
I know you haven't prepared it yet, but do you have a preview of what you want to say to this court when you get to stand up, and what you want to say to Bryan Kohberger?
I was kind of proud of my kids today because I didn't go into the courtroom, and then when it was all said and done, after Hitler tried to turn it into his secretary being busy and his lines being flooded with phone calls was more pressing than 4 dead souls that were killed in their bed. My kids came out of it and said they don't think they ever want to go back into a courtroom again. So I don't even think we're actually going to even do a victim statement. There's no
Wow.
point in it. It's pointless exercise. I respect that some family was in my position years ago, and they probably felt a lot like how I feel right now and thought that they should be able to speak and address the courtroom and try to fix the courtroom. That's probably what these victim statements were supposed to be, but they're not that anymore. And we're Goncalveses. We don't participate in pointless exercise that are a waste of our time. What we do is we speak to the media, we speak to people like you, we make change happen from inside out. And that's probably why they get mad at us and they push back at us and they say that, we're combative and this and that. You know what we are? When somebody says they're 100% for their daughter and they're a G, they're 100%. And that means some little plea deal that you made in the back alley isn't good enough. It's not good enough. 4 souls were lost for one Bryan. Bryan's not worth one of these people, let alone 4. And I'll never accept a deal where one freaking Bryan gets locked up in daycare for freaking adults. And that's supposed to be equivalent to 4 souls, 4 Idahoans, 4 of us, guys, 4 of us in college doing everything to the best of our ability. One loser from Pennsylvania is in his life, in our system, taking care of him. That's equivalent. That's equivalent. You need to keep calling. You need to keep calling people like Hitler. And maybe he doesn't get reelected. Maybe he needs to pick up that phone and hear those calls and understand who he represents. Because this is Idaho, and we hold you accountable.
Ooh.
Steve, if you may, depending on how the next month goes, you may change your mind. You may decide to give an impact statement. If you don't, it is fully within your right. Do you have a message for Bryan Kohberger tonight?
You're a complete loser. You're an absolute loser.
Yeah, that's tough.
I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed that we couldn't have ended you. We didn't find the leadership to end you.
Ooh.
That's your victory, bro. That's the best it's going to be. You beat me on that. My bad. I believed in the wrong people. I believed in the wrong leadership.
Wow.
But we'll fix that.
What do you hope for him? What do you hope will happen in the future that is now inevitable for Bryan Kohberger?
They say there's such thing as a prison justice, and some of those people have reached out to me. Maybe they have a welcome gift for him. Maybe they can, maybe this Pennsylvania city kid can go to Idaho. Some of those guys in there have kids just like mine, look just like mine, same age as all these other kids that were here. And you worked your, you made a couple of choices, made a couple of wrong turns, and you're in there. But you want the best for your kid. You want your kid to go to college. You want everything for them to go in there and win. And you don't want them to die. You don't want them to die. So maybe you should talk to Bryan, have a little welcome package for him, and welcome to Idaho.
It's completely understandable. I can't imagine being in your shoes. Like I said, it's a month away. Maybe Bryan Enton, if you could step in for a moment and just give our audience a reminder of what comes next and on what dates and what happens in the next month.
Yeah, the sentencing actually has been set at the end, excuse me, of July, and that is when the victim impact statements will be made. I believe maybe Bryan Kohberger could also say something if he wishes. I do want to elaborate on one thing Steve was saying when his connection was breaking up, and I'm curious what you think about this, Ashley, because you've covered so many cases, but it was very odd to me that when we went into the courtroom, and it was such a solemn feeling, and it was, I mean, like the biggest hearing in Idaho history, and the families are there, and Bryan Kohberger's there, and there's just this really just deep, feeling. And the first thing the judge says is, I've got something that I want to address, like almost with an attitude, and says that it's been incredibly disruptive, that me and my staff have been getting calls, and the calls need to stop. And my staff has work to do. And this went on for a couple of minutes, and it was again, I'm curious what you think, Ashley. You were probably listening in the beginning, but like, it just seemed kind of tone deaf to me.
I'm not going to lie. I was surprised. I just kept thinking about Steve and the other family members, that's what they're hearing first. I know Steve wasn't in the courtroom, but it was difficult. But I also know how affected so many people across the country, indeed across the world, have been by the loss of these 4 beautiful kids. And so I can understand that there have been some calls and messages as well. Look at those faces: Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, Kaylee Goncalves, prime of their lives. Beautiful, beautiful kids. And this is what it's come to. My great thanks to Steve Goncalves and Shannon Gray, who has been his rock. I know, Shannon, you called Steve a rock. You've also been Steve's rock. Steve, we're here for you. You know that we're going to continue to follow this. We're going to continue to support you as well. And I can't say it enough. We give you our condolences always, but we also send you our love as best we can from where we are in your moment of grief. Thank you for doing this and sharing this with us. I so appreciate it.
Thank you for your microphone and your audience, because without it, we'd just be crazies that nobody would ever listen to.
Well, we're listening, and we will continue to listen. And Brian Enton, amazing work, incredible coverage, and he will continue to be on this case as well. To all 3 of you, my heartfelt thanks for this evening. I do appreciate it so much. Coming up after the break, what will life for Bryan Kohberger be like? I've been thinking about that a lot today. I have been thinking about what's in store for those eyes when he finds his new home in a cell. Probably isolation for upwards of 60 years. At 30, life no parole is extremely long and very lonely.
Oh, well.
And we found out a few things about what's in store and where he may be. That's next.
Oh, well. Oh, well.
News Nation owned the Idaho murder story like no other network.
Oh, well. Oh, well. Shouldn't have went out and killed 4 people. I don't feel bad for him. I don't feel bad for him. But I wanted to just to jump into that episode. I wanted to see if Steve was going to talk, and obviously he did. And let me know how you all feel. I mean, this is just, it's wild. This whole situation is just wild. I didn't see this coming at all. But what I do want to play through is back 2 years ago, May 15, 2023. And I had a stream that was called The Encounter. And I want to go back and look that up, of a prediction that we thought happened with Xana, and how this all came to be. So let's play through this about 20 minutes or so. Let's see how correct I was back then. I think I was pretty much spot on with this. All right, let's get into this presentation. So this, I want to just kind of give some bedroom days. Look at this. The old bedroom days, 4,300 people subbed up to the channel. Now we're 48,000 strong here. Look at the old bedroom days. All right, here we go. Context to the background of this. This was very weird how this kind of spontaneously happened between you and I. So Laura and I, probably like once, an old friend of mine that used to jump up and do panels with me. Her name's Laura. This was back on May 15, 2023, when we really used to get into the crux of the Bryan Kohberger case. But let's play this out. Let's listen. We'll go back and revisit Payne's PCA, his version of the events. And we go through that document and really, we call it spitballing.
Yeah.
You know, we'll pull it up and say, let's really read this. And then let's go back and read it again. And then let's go back and read it again. And then we have sometimes an aha moment. Okay. Aha, that's it. And then, we stop. And that's why I say, when you go in and really read these documents, like when we talked about the latent foot shoe print, we came up with maybe some theory on that. And you're going to hear probably a little bit of that in this presentation as well, too. I think we have a new way about it, maybe another angle, but it's all based on, I want to make sure that we're very clear on this. It's all based on what's inside the PCA. Again, I am not a lawyer. Laura is not a lawyer. I am not law enforcement. Laura is not law enforcement. Everything we say is alleged. But
Speculation.
Oh, look at
Based
this.
on the facts.
Look who's in the chat. Old school here. Look at this. AZ in the chat. Man, I haven't seen your chat name forever. This is a feel-good stream right now. I feel like I'm back to the old days. 320 people watching tonight. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is so cool. The OGs are back in the chat room tonight. All my original. Look at this. You guys are all witnessing history tonight. I have my old OG Kohberger people in the room tonight. I love this shit. This is great. This takes me back. Look where we are. Two years later. 2 years later. And you know what? I have to thank a lot of those OG supporters. They came into my channel when it was in its infancy, and a lot of them have stuck around. A lot of them have been members and have supported me on a monthly basis. With all of you, I mean, look at Tsunami's OG. He's been here forever. I talk to Tsunami on the phone like all the time. Paula Cat's been here, OG. I hope you're well. I hope you're well, man. I really do. AZ and I used to have long conversations about Kohberger on the phone. Never met him in my entire life. Never saw his face, but we would call and have these OG, like, long conversations. Cindy's been here for a long time. Yeah, this is when I was back, when I was had the opinionated idiot. Pretty Insane says she's been here, or he's been here. But I love this. This is like OG tonight. All right, let's play through. This is awesome. Let's play through. Look at this. 4381 was the sub count back then. Let's look at let's play through this. This is very interesting. Our opinion, right? Based upon the facts. All right, so let's pull this up.
I
call this the chilling encounter. Okay, the chilling encounter.
And we also have to remember there's things we don't know, but we can take a step back and say, well, that probably happened, or what really happened inside this house.
Right.
So that's where we got to this part.
Right. So at approximately 4 a.m., so we have the DoorDash, we have Xana, and I'm going to read this, and I know everybody's kind of heard this, but I want you to all to really focus. I want you to all really just listen. Yeah, if you have headphones on, close your eyes, just really listen to me talk.
Oh, I love it.
This is where it kind of all came together for us the other
Karen.
night. So DM and BF both made statements, and this is probably the most important piece here. DM and BF both made statements during the interview that they implicated the occupants of the King Road residence were home by 2 a.m. and asleep by at least in their rooms by at least approximately 4 a.m. This was at the exception of Xana, who received a DoorDash order at the residence at approximately 4 a.m. Law enforcement identified the DoorDash delivery driver who reported the information. Okay, so DM stated that she originally went to sleep in her room on the southeast side of the second floor. DM stated that she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Goncalves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the third floor. A short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Goncalves say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." I'm going to repeat that again.
Okay.
DM said she heard who she thought was Goncalves say something to effect of, "There's someone here." A review. Now listen, everybody, because this was the moment between Laura and I. A review of the records obtained from the forensic download of Xana's phone showed it could have been Xana, as her cell phone indicated she was likely awake using TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. So that's a piece of the puzzle. Go ahead, Laura.
So I've asked myself, why include that? Why is it even relevant that it could have been Xana? How does that play into part? And obviously they were very purposeful with what they put in the PCA because they don't want to show their whole hand.
She's good.
So why
her
would
and
they
I have
put
actually been chatting a little bit. I'm going to pause this. Her and I have been chatting a little bit through all of this. So, but wait, this is, we figured all this out before it was even out there. I mean, this is back 2 years ago, and we figured all this out. check this out. It's pretty neat what we figured out with the limited information that was out there.
That in there, because I bet if we sit and think by 4:12 a.m., given the timeline, most likely the third floor occupants, Kaylee and Maddie, were either already deceased or mortally wounded, and they believed that it was Xana. Dylan thought it was Kaylee, but law enforcement are trying to say there it was probably Xana because the two upstairs were probably gone by then.
So now we're up on the second floor of the home. You can see where Xana's room is, and you can see that small hallway that leads to the kitchen to DM's room. Okay, so this is what I think. I think Xana's walking towards the kitchen. Here it is. Possibly using TikTok on her app, looking down at her phone, or maybe sitting in that little seating area, because we know to the left was like a little living room, sectional or something that was there. So let's say Xana's walking towards the kitchen, maybe to dispose of the DoorDash bag, because we know that that bag was found. We don't know if that was a week before or that night. Okay. The reason we're saying the DoorDash bag, because I remember there was a photo of a reporting photographer that zoomed into the kitchen, and we saw that DoorDash bag. Indeed, she actually was just going to get the DoorDash. And I remember in this, and I don't know why it's not included, with the forensic download, and they were texting. We figured out that Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk was hearing everything that was going on, and they were texting. And I don't know why I cut it out of this clip, but the longer live stream of this, we talk about that. All right, let's keep playing here. This is interesting.
No, if that was the bag, if the one that we've seen in pictures.
Right. Boom.
Here
we go. She encounters the suspect. Okay. Located on the third floor, a short time later. Oh my God, it just sounded really Boston. Later. DM said she heard who she thought was Goncalves say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." A review of the records obtained from forensic download of Kernodle's phone showed that she could have been on TikTok, blah, 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 at 4:12 a.m. I think Xana saw the suspect and went, "There's someone here." It's a good guess.
To
Scared the
Ethan,
shit out of her.
So probably exclaimed it to Ethan. Whether or not she had her phone in her hand or not, we could go back and forth with that. But 4:12 a.m. on TikTok yelled, "There's someone here," because she saw somebody in black either on her way out to the kitchen, her way back from the kitchen. Like we said, we don't know if that was the DoorDash bag from that evening, but it could be that she made it out to the kitchen and saw somebody, or without knowing if there was a DoorDash bag elsewhere in the house, we can't really go from that.
Yeah, this is a good point. We do now know that Ethan was asleep, and we kind of tried to figure that out. Did Ethan come out after she was attacked? And ultimately that was wrong. He was actually asleep, but we were pretty close. We were actually pretty close on this one. Let's finish this out. This is interesting. I haven't watched this in a long time.
But it's very plausible that on her way back, she saw someone, yelled to Ethan, "There's someone here," tried to get back to her room.
Not a bad theory.
So now we're there. Let me get this next slide. She bolts back to the room. Oh, did I lose you, Laura? Hang on.
No, I'm still. Oh, there.
Hang on. Let me get you back in the view.
Oh,
Well,
geez.
we're all over the place now. All right, bear with me. I'll get this. Where are you?
I'm still here, but I'm not here.
There we go. All right. So now she takes off towards her bedroom. Okay.
I remember I had
Suspect in
a double screen, and my screen used to be like really far up in front of me. In the studio, I have a TV, so I can just look over at the TV and it's right at eye level. But I remember having to always look up. I would have my presentation up there, and I would always have to look up. This is in my bedroom, in a corner of my bedroom. Oh, this is funny.
Follows to the bedroom. Now you got the bedroom. Now we don't know exactly where it could have happened in the bedroom. I think that So now it says DM stated that she looked out her bedroom,
Collateral damage.
but
Witness.
did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. DM stated she opened her door the second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Xana's room. DM then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm here to help you." Now we think this could have been where there was the struggle inside Xana's room. Go ahead, Laura.
Where she ran back into the room. She said, "There's somebody here," runs back into the room. Ethan's like, "It's okay, I'll help you." And that is when they were attacked.
Oh, excuse me.
Now, attack has already happened. Suspect is back,
pretty close.
going back towards that sliding glass door. You now come back into the hallway. DM's room is to the left. Possible point of entry and exit is to the right. DM stated she opened her door for the third time after she heard crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth, nose, and walking towards her.
Yeah, I mean, we get it, Ethan. You know, this is back very, very early in the case. So we had to do a lot of speculation in a lot of this and try to figure out things with the very limited PCA. And I think we actually did a pretty good job here. I mean, this is 2 years ago. This is 2 years ago when we didn't have anything on this case. This was just mulling all this information over. I used to have a group chat with a lot of the people that are in here. AZ was in there. Laura was in there. And, you know, we used to just throw around these theories and say, what is the most possible theory here that would happen? Yeah. This is like May 15th, 2023 when we were talking about this. No, it's all good. It's all good, dude. It's all good. But this is the things that we used to do in our backroom chats. And then we would say, all right, well, let's make a presentation and bring it forward and see if something sticks here. And, you know, some of this we're pretty spot on some of it. It's knowing what we know now. But Ethan was asleep. I mean, he definitely was asleep. They admitted that in court today. But let's play this out and see where else this goes.
DM described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built and bushy eyebrows. The male walked past DM as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. DM locked herself in her room after seeing the male. DM did not state if she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. So now if we come into the kitchen and we're looking towards DM's room, you have the latent shoe print. You have the other arrow on the floor that's pointing to the sliding glass door, and you have DM's room. During the so we're going to get to the point of why we think all this is because people are like, you know, where are you all? During
the thing that's very interesting that we found out too is that Bryan admitted parking to that hillside that's on the corner of the house. We always thought that he pulled in. There was a vacant parking lot that was behind King Road, I think, or it was a parking lot to the apartment building that was behind it. We always thought that he pulled in there and walked down a path, and went up to the sliding glass door. But the sliding glass door theory, all of us pretty much were on that, right away when this all came out. All right, let's keep playing through.
Process of the crime scene, investigators found a latent shoe print in the circle. This was located during the second processing of the crime scene by ISP forensic team, first using the presumptive blood test, amino black, protein stain that detected the presence of cellular material. The detected shoe print showed a diamond-shaped pattern similar to the pattern of a Vans-type sole shoe outside the door of DM's bedroom, located on the second floor. That is consistent with DM's statements regarding the suspect's path to travel. Do you want to take this one and why you think the shoe print got latent?
Given the information we've had, the police, when they searched the home, they encountered Xana's body first, leading us to believe that she was in the doorway, just inside the room, and then Ethan would have been further into the room. I know there's also talk that Ethan was found in the bed, and Xana was most likely found on the floor.
Which would make sense because if he was slashed, which we've heard he was slashed, we don't know where he was slashed. If he fell onto that bed and say his throat was slashed, he would bleed out. That's how you would get the blood drain down the wall. Or figuratively speaking, that's a lot of blood. And if that house is on a pitch, that's probably the way the blood all ran.
And if Xana was attacked without being in bed, there is a better chance that the suspect would have blood on them, especially on, from the knees below.
Wow, look at this. I mean, does this come full circle or what? What was one of the most debated things in the Karen Reed case that we covered here for almost the last 2 years? And I love this chat from Leslie. Leslie says, I'm totally not getting a Ring camera. I have a dog who is the best alarm on planet Earth. And what was the two things that were most talked about at 34 Fairview? Brian Albert's canine dog, Chloe, that was supposedly non-existent that night, didn't alert him. And then that camera that was across the street that would have caught everything that happened that night. But ironically, none of the footage was captured. None of the footage captures. It's so funny. It's so funny. All right, let's keep playing out here and see what the end result. We were pretty close. We had some pretty good speculation on this. And who knows, maybe some of those details are in there. I mean, we weren't there and we're never going to really know all the intimate details, but here we go.
Because when you're next to a bed and you are attacking someone, the blood most likely won't get on your knees down as much as it would if somebody was just standing there or whatever. So therefore, there would have been blood that got on the suspect. The suspect probably had a trail of blood walking from Xana's room all the way out through.
Right.
And so it wore off. So as the suspect walked, the blood wore off. Now, another point to make is he could have thought he was done after he came down from the third floor.
That's what I think.
And therefore had removed some protective gear,
Mm-hmm.
which is why there might have been bloody footprints, shoe prints, because this, that Xana, literally the DoorDash could have been what led to her demise because of her taking the bag out to the kitchen.
All the old school people are popping up. We got AZ in the chat. We got Jeff H in the chat. Oh my God. This is like a reuniting stream for me tonight. I mean, when we used to dig into the Kohberger, streams, I started in just about a couple of weeks after the case. I was analyzing it. I think in December was my first pop-up stream, December of 22. And we're seeing all the old school people come back tonight. Look at this. It's like a reunion, Jeff. It is like a reunion. And we were right all along, Jeff, right? We were right all along. Look at this. I got an old coworker in here tonight. It's like the old days tonight. I feel like it's look at, we got 300 people in here. We used to come when I was Karen Reed in the retrial. I had 5,000, 6,000 people watching. I love this. I'm so glad that the old school OGs are back in the room tonight. This is so cool. It's so humbling and it's so awesome that people would come over and check this out and to go through this. I have the biggest smile on my face right now. I love this. This is awesome. Look at us now, right? And we were right. These are all the people that believed in this. These are all the people that sorted through all of this and we figured it out. And we might have skewed a little bit. We might have not got things 100% correct, but we knew all along. We knew all along. We knew. Yep. Jeff H. So we got it right for sure. Seem obvious, but to some apparently not. I know. This is so cool. Thank you. Well, we love you being here. We were close. We were pretty close. All right, let's finish this out. I love
Xana
it.
was also known to be a neat freak, always up with the chores. So that makes sense that she would walk a DoorDash bag back out to the kitchen instead of having it in her room all night. It's just very plausible looking at what I've learned from examining their TikToks and social media that she most likely wanted that bag back out in the kitchen, got it back out to the kitchen. And that is when she was encountered by the suspect, ran back to her room, yelled to Ethan. Ethan yelled back, and that was it. It happened very quickly.
And Laura was a hell of a
Okay,
sleuth.
so
She was
now
good.
everybody's like, why did they take us through this big presentation? Because the next slide that I show, I think is going to do the, and I think this might be a lot of the conversation, why they're trying to pull Bethany in. The defense wants to speak to her. I think, and Laura is pretty strong about this too, because this makes sense. Now,
Okay.
again, we're allegedly just saying, we're just basing opinions, but I think this is what the battle is with the defense and Bethany Funk and bringing all this up. This is very important.
Maybe we do talk.
I want everybody to pay attention.
Uh-oh.
And I want
It's a
everybody to
serious
read
moment.
this, and I want everybody to listen.
Okay.
Because it's an opinion, it's alleged. The final mention of Funk in the affidavit states that the police reviewed forensic downloads from her phone
Here it is.
to determine the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and
No.
4:25 a.m. Forensic downloads to determine that the homicides happened between these times. They were fucking texting each other.
Did you hear that?
Did you hear that? They were texting each other because there's timestamps on those texts.
Yep.
They probably heard noises. Now, I'm not going to go anywhere and say they're involved and they set all this up and blah, 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 blah. But it leads me to believe, based on this information, there were some text conversations going on. Did you hear that? Are you up?
Yeah,
If
possibly.
they were asleep, or say even if Bethany was asleep, yeah, I mean, we're just talking about Bethany right now. If she was asleep at that time, there wouldn't be anything going on her phone between 4 and 4:25 or whenever she fell asleep until whenever she woke up. So why,
based on the forensic downloads of their phones, that they would determine between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. There's timestamps.
Yeah.
They were talking to each other.
That's very true, AZ. We were I want to say we, because you guys all helped out in this. AZ and I and all these great people that came over tonight. And this is really cool. I mean, it's really cool to see all you guys in here, and it just came all full circle. And we used to mull around a lot of this stuff. Jeff H did a great job on his channel, enhancing a lot of the video camera footage that was released. He did a lot of analyzing of the white Hyundai Elantra. Did such a great job on that. AZ and I used to have all these back channel chats and really mull over this stuff. Laura was great. My friend up on the panel, I just recently started connecting with her again. I mean, we were gearing up for trial. We thought this trial was going to happen, and it was going to be really, great to see a lot of the people come back. But it's so awesome that you guys are all here tonight. This is really cool stuff. I was the first, we were the first channel to bring this up. And I'm telling you, there's something with that Bluetooth speaker too. I still have a lot of speculation about that, but I think as time comes out, I think something's going to come up about that Bluetooth speaker. Yeah, I did. I broke this. And that was the days I wasn't even on X. I wasn't even on X then. I couldn't really put it out. But I remember doing the stream. All right, let's finish up with this. This is pretty cool.
Has to be it.
Yeah.
Or they were texting their roommates going, what's going on? What's going on? Or there's phone calls. What's going on up there?
Look at this. We were good.
Brenda
were
thinks
good.
It's crazy. It's, I think, in a good way. Wow, that's crazy. That reaction.
Thanks, D.
But it's quite possible this is what happened. And this, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to show the chat. Here's the chat that we spitballed.
Yeah.
I said to you, I somehow think Bethany Funk has something on her phone. And then I clipped this little
what we do.
Thing that I just put up. The final mention of Funk.
Date 5/8/2023, because we weren't really getting there was no information because of the gag order. And we used to mull this shit over and over and over and go over it, over and over it. I mean, we put work into this case. This is at, what time is this at? 9:51 p.m. Me and Laura it's texting. At that time, I had a Discord, and we used to do Discord chats, and we had a bunch of people in there, and we would talk about all of this stuff. This is so cool. And let's play this out.
Affidavit. The police say the forensic downloads are from, And the information on her phone leads the police think what time the crimes happened. She's got something. And you said right away, she and Dylan were texting, and I went, bingo. She knew where I was going.
We
with
have
it.
a chat in here from Bobby Old Dude. I don't know if you can bring it up. It says, if Xana walked.
Hang on one second. When I had that moment, I said to Laura, I went,
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
I'm sorry. Who is it?
Bobby Old Dude. If Xana walked to the kitchen, wouldn't she have turned a light on, meaning it wouldn't have been dark when DM looked out? They had that good vibes light in the living room.
Yeah,
So
it lit up pretty well.
Yeah, Xana would have probably been able to see her way out there.
See if I could find the Bluetooth speaker video.
We don't know. I mean, and I believe there were also Christmas lights strung in the kitchen. So, yeah, she should have seen. She saw enough to see a black figure, a figure clad in black. I don't know if she would have seen anything at that moment in time from her doorway, because everything would have happened so fast.
So, and here you go too. Paul is saying there's a rumor that's saying that probably because someone figured all this out, and it just took us a little while to go over it. But that's like I said, Laura and I look through that PCA at least once a week, and we spitball what could have happened. This makes a lot of sense to me.
Yep.
A lot of sense. Because right there, it says it right there. The downloads from her phone from Bethany's phone determined that the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4. What other information would they have on there? She's fucking sleeping.
Yeah.
They were texting. There was some communication. Did you hear that? What is that? What's going on? What's that noise? Calling her upstairs roommates.
And sadly, that just leads us to more questions. If they were texting and saying what was that, or the thud that was heard, why nothing else till later in the morning? Why?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I
How
give
close
these
we
young
were.
ladies the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I think we all want to know why. Why was nobody called until the next morning? Why didn't Bethany say, what was that? And Dylan said, nothing. We don't know. We don't know what those text messages were. I'm sure that will come out in a trial. I said a trial whenever we get there.
Wow.
And we'll all be right there at the edge of our seats thinking back to this night. Why would they think? Well, they wouldn't. I mean, that's not a common thought, but
I'm sure if I'm downstairs in the bottom floor and I'm hearing a bunch of, this is the thing that people have to understand. It was so loud in that house that got picked up through walls and picked up on a camera that was next door. And that's why I dismissed the fact that it was so quiet that night. It wasn't. It was loud. I mean, let me drop you on the floor right now and sound, what that's going to sound like on a wood floor. That's going to reverberate through a house, and you're going to hear a struggle. You're probably going to hear some screaming and some crying.
Yeah.
A lot of commotion going on. Ethan was a big dude. I'm sure you probably wrestled a little bit, or maybe he just didn't even see it coming and that was it. But
this is.
So Crossreach says very possible, but the 8-hour time gap is a huge problem. And how does that fit into the PCA suggested Kohberger is a suspect? I don't know. The 8-hour gap is the next thing that we're trying to work on.
That's great.
And we just don't have enough information there.
And
it's
this
is great.
Micro story of the whole thing doesn't really put anybody in as a suspect. It just
look at this. Chosen Rosen said, I believe Ethan was either in the bathroom or sleeping when BK chased Xana to her room and attacked her on the floor. Then Ethan awoke and said, I'm going to help you. And Chosen used to be a guy that we used to have these chats with, and he was part of those conversations as well. Look at this. We figured all this shit out on the channel, and a lot of it came true. I have the video of the Bluetooth theory, and I'm going to play that here. I love going back and look at all this old stuff that, we used to talk about. I mean, this video's from, let's see, this premiered on December 26, 2023. Let's play this. Yeah, when I used to be LTL trooper. Let's see what I said here.
Good Tuesday morning.
God.
I hope everybody's doing well. It is the day after Christmas.
Oh, it's when I had COVID really bad. You can hear my voice. It's when I had COVID really bad.
Christmas, and I hope that you had a very Merry
Oh, I
Christmas
was so
and a
sick.
wonderful holiday. I did not. I've been home recovering with COVID-19, and I'm starting to feel a little bit better, but it's going to take me probably a couple more days to
Old
get
bedroom
up
days.
and going. And I thank all of you for all your well wishes. It's been much appreciated. What I want to talk to you today is a follow-up video that I did yesterday about Bryan Kohberger and his phone possibly connecting to a Bluetooth
COVID
speaker
wouldn't keep me
owned
down.
by Haley's, either on the night of the murders or within those 12 visits that he had before at the residence. We recently found out more information about the investigation
Nice
in
to
a
do
new
video.
interview with Stephen Christie Goncalves that Ryan Enton did just about a month ago on the anniversary of the King Road murders. And in that interview, towards the end of the interview, when Stephen Christie started to open up a little bit more about the investigation, we found out about some of the items that the police took and kept in evidence
Yeah.
for the trial. And some of those evidence was obviously her phone. They talked about some laptops and this Bluetooth speaker. And when I heard about this Bluetooth speaker, I remembered something that I heard very early on in this investigation. Back in like February of 2023, there had been an article that came up and it said a source talked about the possibility of Bryan Kohberger's phone connecting to Kaylee Goncalves' Bluetooth speaker. And I went, aha. And I said, thank you, Steve. Thank you for talking about this, because now it confirmed and it really made a connection to that article. So I went back and started to reference it and research it. So I had this thought. If that Bluetooth speaker was not any relevance in this investigation, then why would it be held in evidence? As we know, Bryan Kohberger was in and around that residence 12 times before the murders. So could it be a possibility that his phone connected while on his search or reconnaissance missions? Maybe he got close enough to that house where his Bluetooth was on.
Yep.
And it made that handshake with Kaylee's Bluetooth speaker.
Very true.
Now I thought about this and I started to deep dive a little bit more. How far would I have to be to that speaker from my iPhone to connect to it? And I got an answer. Most commercial grade Bluetooth speakers, you can be within a 33
Look at the effort in the videos back then. I mean, this is when I used to actually drop videos, and it's a shame. None of these ever took off. None of these hit the algorithm. And I think they're great videos for, a fledgling channel at that point. I was putting the pop-ups on the screen. It sounded like death. I had just come through COVID. I remember this. And this is the bedroom days. This is the old days. All right, let's keep playing here.
Distance. And that device will still handshake or make a connection with that device. And when I say handshake, it's sending a signal from your phone to that device and basically saying, hey, can we connect here? So I know in one of my recent lives that was debated because, yes, the house is off the road. It could have been up in her bedroom, 33 feet. It might not be close enough.
This is funny.
But then I had a wonderful email that was sent to me this morning. And I had another one of those aha moments. And let me show you that email. So Tammy reached out to me and said, just thinking, I wonder if it could have been that speaker the officer referenced to the other cop while they were waiting for Kaylee to come out. Noise complaint. Looks like he pointed right inside the sliding glass door. Keep up the good work. Tammy, you made me have another aha moment. And what she's referencing here was there was a body cam video that was released by Law and Crime Network of a noise complaint back on 8/16/22. And I went back and watched the video and I saw it. The cop referenced that Bluetooth speaker. And let's watch that video right now.
Good. How are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You are here.
I assume noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there. Let's go back and listen one more time.
How are you? this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You are here.
I assume noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Big speaker right there. Now, I'm not saying that this is Kaylee's speaker, but could it be a possibility? Let me go back to the video. If that speaker is Kaylee's speaker, and if that speaker
Yeah, I remember.
was a communal speaker that was left maybe inside the kitchen for everybody to connect to, let's just say during one of those visits, the 12 visits before, that Kohberger was in and around the King Road house,
Yeah.
he actually got the guts enough to come up to the house and look through that window.
Possibility.
And let's say his Bluetooth was on.
Look at the pop-ups.
That would put him close enough to get that handshake to possibly connect to that speaker. And like I said, if there was no connection to Kohberger and that speaker, then why would this speaker of Kaylee's still be in evidence? What do you think? Could it be a possibility that Bryan Kohberger made a connection with that speaker? Could it be a possibility that is the speaker that is in evidence? Let me know your comments below. I'd love to hear all of your ideas, comments about this particular situation. If this is your first time here, please make sure to subscribe, like, and share my content. Just to let everybody know, I'm mostly a live streamer, and I stream basically every night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I cover the Idaho 4 case and many other cases just like this. Thanks for watching. Again, my name is Brian, and I'll see y'all soon. Have a great day.
God, man, this is so long ago. I love it. I love watching old videos of myself. I haven't watched those in forever. Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe he'll talk to me. Oh, I'm gonna play a smidget of one that's gonna really blow your mind. The many, let's see. Lauren says you must have been exhausted streaming every night. I just streamed. That's all we did. We just streamed. Yeah, it's good to look back. It's good to look back. Yes, that's very true. And there's other streams. You got to check it out. Just go to my live stream, type in Bluetooth. There's 2 Bluetooth streams that come up where we go through this in meticulous detail. And I'm telling you, and we learned all of that. I had a representative from Verizon come up on my stream and actually explain all of this stuff for us. And she had an amazing presentation. You've got to go back and watch those streams. I'm telling you, we had something here and we figured it out. Tammy said how much you've grown and matured. I know, in just 2 years. And it's, listen, yes, Steven. Yep. I remember those days too. I think I still have the soundbite. Hang on. Oh, this is so cool. Seeing all the old people back in here. The old timers that used to ride with me. My ride or dies. I think I still have it. Where is it? Remember this one? Liar. I'm gonna turn it up. Do I still have the Steven one? Oh man, yeah. Steven. I still have them. Let's see. Jeff says BK surely wanted to know the position of that little lock lever on the sliding door. If it's up, unlocked, down, locked. That's the thing about a glass door. You can tell if it's unlocked or locked. Easy. Yeah. Let's see. Lauren says the first time we hung out, Brian showed me a bunch of his old videos, including the Bluetooth speaker one. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let me blow everybody's mind here. The many styles of Brian LTL. Look at this. This is when I used to call myself the opinionated idiot. Look at the beard. Look at the beard and the fake glasses. I was trying to take on this persona with the fake glasses. Let's just, I'm not going to play all of this, but we'll play a little. The bedroom days, the old bedroom days. Look at this. Let's pull up this video. We'll walk through it and see what you guys think.
When I said I want to get into the nitty gritty, that's Clark Walton's space. He is a principal forensics and cybersecurity expert for Reliance Forensics. He's board certified in data security. He's a former cybersecurity analyst for the CIA. He's also a former prosecuting attorney. Mwah, chef's kiss. You are perfect, Clark, for this. Get me sort of on and off the ledge on this, because I always want to know that there's lots of evidence. If you're going to bring a guy in and charge him with quadruple murder, I want to know that there's lots of really good evidence.
And I'm going to stop this really quick, because that has been the point that I've tried to get across to everybody here. What we've seen in the probable cause affidavit is not all of the evidence. I'm telling you, there is much more detailed evidence that we haven't even heard or seen yet. And, you know, if this goes to trial,
this is February 14th, 2023, this video,
all of that will come out. So let's keep playing through here and see what this gentleman says.
This would seem like it would put a guy right in the room alongside the DNA on the knife sheath. But why might it not work? Let's just look at the other side. Why might this not work?
Right. So your phone, as you know, when you're walking around with it, it is trying to talk to the rest of the world any number of ways, right? Bluetooth and your cellular antenna and near field communication. But it doesn't necessarily mean that those attempted handshakes that you just referenced are necessarily being recorded. Not every single action that your phone takes is necessarily going to stick with that phone. If a forensic examiner were to look at it days, weeks, months later, yes, that handshake could have occurred, but is there going to be a record of it on the device that a forensic examiner can pull back?
Okay, so let me take that one step further, and I'm going to just be full disclosure here. I am a complete idiot when it comes to this stuff. I have to hit all the buttons 100 times and then reset just to get something to work. But I do know this, my phone is connected to my Bluetooth speaker, and my phone knows when I go from portrait to landscape, and it keeps that as a record, as I learned in the Murdaugh trial. What if Kaylee's speaker was connected to her phone? Because presumably they're all up on the third floor, right? You're going to have your phone upstairs when you go to bed, even if you're 50 feet away in the other bedroom. Will that perhaps keep a record?
That would keep a record. And so have you ever noticed, you'll spend a night in a hotel and you'll not come back to that hotel for months, and then you'll go back to that hotel and it will automatically connect your phone back to Wi-Fi like you'd been there the day before. Your iPhone does keep a record of what Wi-Fi networks you've connected to, certain information about those networks, the name, the password, the last date and time, importantly, potentially for this case, the last date and time that phone was connected to that Wi-Fi network. And the same works for Bluetooth as well. It keeps a listing of Bluetooth assets that you have connected to at a certain point in the past in time. So let's say hypothetically, at some point in the past, Kohberger's phone had initiated or completed a handshake with really any other device in proximity to that house, coming back in close proximity to that house, even if the phone were in airplane mode, as was pointed out, that Bluetooth connection may likely still be enabled, and that handshake could occur. That evidence would stay on the phone, and that's something that a forensic examiner could later take and say, yes, this phone was within Bluetooth communication of this speaker, this micro.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
that's pretty incredible stuff. I mean, we started sleuthing through a lot of this stuff, and I always had something with that Bluetooth speaker. I always thought there was something there, but it's, look, this is all great to go back and look, go back and look at how far, the channel has evolved. I did this stuff out of my bedroom, and I've been very blessed, through my subscribers, my members, my supporters, to be able to come in and have a fully functioning built out studio and be able to have like live guests come in and sit down. I had one of my best live streams, just about 2 weeks ago, when I had Karen Reed's brother, Nathan, come in and sit down and tell us everything, and it's crazy. We've gone from a bedroom to this, to be able to host guests to come in and sit down and have live conversations. And this is how serious I take this, and how much I love doing this, and how much I love connecting with my audience and my subscribers, and just wanting to talk about these things and have conversations. And it's been an awesome journey. I'm so proud of, what we've been able to build here as a community. and I want it to keep going. You know, I want to get to that 50,000 subscriber mark. Let's get halfway to a silver play button. Let's move through and get a silver play button and have that accomplishment and celebrate that together as a community. And let's continue to put great, amazing content out there and have great guests and experts and lawyers. I've been blessed with all of that stuff to meet such amazing people through this process. I've made a lot of great friends, and I've had a lot of people that have stuck around on this channel since its infancy, since its beginning. And it's been so humbling. And look at, you know, we're going to have to go through a feel out and a searching period now and find out, what is LTL Media all about? You know, we've concluded in the Karen Read case with a victory. For 2 years, I dedicated my life to that case. I dedicated my life to freeing Karen Read. And it's such a great accomplishment to celebrate all of that with you all. And I will never, ever forget my humble beginnings in YouTube. And I always go back and touch base with the people that got me started live streaming. You know, if you've been following my channel through its evolution, and a lot of that content is pulled down now, but this channel started as a community channel for BMW enthusiasts. And I was a huge BMW enthusiast. I wanted to start a car channel and talk about BMWs. And then over the pandemic in 2020, when we essentially just couldn't do anything, I was in the wristwatch business for almost 16 years, or I was for 16 years. And I used to talk about wristwatches. And I still have a lot of that content on my channel. It's just hidden right now because I don't want to screw the algorithm up of what I'm trying to do here. And then in November of 2022, the Idaho murders happened. And I mulled about it. I mulled about it for a couple weeks. I wanted to look into it. I wanted to learn about it. What were people saying? And it went 6 weeks before we actually had a suspect. And in December, I made my first video, or my first live stream, about the Idaho 4 murders. And that's essentially what launched me into this kind of true crime genre. I never really set out to be a true crimer. I was always interested in it. I used to watch, you know, the First 48 and Cops when I grew up. And I was always, you know, I always took in, you know, documentaries about serial killers, or read books, or whatever it may be. I love mystery, and I love crime solving, and I love putting puzzles together. I love puzzles. I love trying to figure out from point A to point B, or point Z. And, you know, I did multitude of live streams about the Idaho 4 case. And then, you know, someone in my chat said, hey, have you heard about the Karen Read case that's in and around your area? You should look into it. And I started to dive into it, and I got very curious, and I just felt a connection to it because I'm in the state of Massachusetts. It happened here. And when I looked at that first initial probable cause affidavit, I said, wait a minute, something doesn't seem right here. And I started to peel back the onion layers. I started to peel back information and dive into it. And it led me to a community of people that embraced me for 2 years, my community, which led me to Turtle Boy, an amazing reporter that blew the Karen Read case wide open on April 18th. And that allowed me to connect with people in my local area, to have privilege to go out and meet all these wonderful people that were out to support and free Karen Read. I've met so many friends and so many experts and lawyers and, you know, retired police officers that have donated their time to come on the channel and speak about this and speak the truth. I had the privilege to be out there with thousands of people on what I call Victory Day. Finally, after this 2 shams of a trial, Karen Read gets to walk out of that courthouse like a movie and celebrate on the front steps that she's been 100% vindicated of John O'Keefe's death. So I want to continue. This is an absolute passion of mine. It's been the most forward thing in my life for the last 2 years. And I still think we have life left in the channel. I think we still have tons of things that we can do here, tons of conversations. Where that leads us, what road and direction we lead in, I don't know. Fate takes care of that. I have been through an amazing spiritual journey. This last 2 years, I've really discovered who I am, and I've worked on a lot of things that I needed to work on. And there have been tons of ups and downs. We all go through that in life, but we all go through and we grow and we learn. And then we can teach, and then we can give back, like raising billboards in my community to talk about a problem that we had here for a fallen Mass State Police trooper, that we weren't getting those answers. And yes, I have tons of information. I know what happened in Enrique Delgado Garcia's case. I know every intimate detail, but I have to make sure that I'm very careful about what I say, and I have to protect my sources. But the truth will come out. It's in the grand jury's hands, and it's in the hands of people that are very well in tune with this case and want to see it happen and come through. So I have not forgot about Enrique. Wow. So here we are. The Idaho 4 case that initially kind of launched my channel into true crime genre. We've now seen a conclusion. Some say a good conclusion. Some say not a good conclusion in Bryan Kohberger's case. So I feel that I was right about that case. I was definitely 100% right in Karen's case. I knew all along that she was 100% innocent, and I was going to watch an innocent person go down. I felt like we needed a lot of fight here in the state of Massachusetts, and we did. So again, my friends, it's been a long journey here. 4.5 years on the channel. We're still continuing to grow here. Like I said, I think we have plenty of conversations left to have. And where this all leads me into the next direction, only fate will take care of that. And we'll continue to do things here. Let's look up in the chat really quick before we head out. So Ida says, amazing journey. I appreciate that. Bodega Lady said, I agree. I felt a connection as soon as I started researching why there's a free Karen Read movement. Lauren says, Bryan is one of my favorite people ever. Thank you. I appreciate that, Lauren. You are my best friend. You have been my best friend since I've met you. And I feel bad sometimes, the shit that you have to listen to me. My venting machine. Poor Lauren. Sophie says, the best part of everything was meeting you and Lauren. It was a great day. Look at that photo. That's me, Sophie. Sophie's my moderator. We got to meet her at a standout. She's a sweet young lady. Her father is amazing. Came over to me and shook my hand and said, thank you for everything that you have done in our house. My daughter watches you religiously, and we've seen an awakening in her. And that felt pretty cool that your dad said that. And he is very proud of you, Sophie. He's very proud of you. Karen said, you can tell you've grown so much in a year and a half that I've been watching. I appreciate that. Tammy says, we have many lives on this channel, just like a cat 9 lives old saying. It's great. Best is yet to come. It is. It's right behind me. The best is yet to come. It says it over my studio door when we walk in. And then when we walk out, it says, never give up. It's in big, bold letters right above the threshold. Never give up. Never give up. Paula, amen. Yes. Karen Read freed. Absolutely. Let's see what else we got. Karen says, good. He's such a fantastic and genuine creator. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Jeff H says, quote, you've come a long way, baby. It's been a long time. Leslie says, I have alternate media that is impartial. I'm going to stick around. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We It's the channel of we. We do a good job. And we will keep discovering and finding our way and navigating through this evil algorithm that wants to keep us down. The man always wants to keep us down, but we'll fight back. We're going to get there. I feel the 50,000 coming soon, and we're going to do a 50,000 celebration and on to 100,000 and many, many more subscribers. I'm here to stay. I am here to stay. AZ says good times. Love it. Caroline says, I found you through Karen Reed. I really enjoy your content. I'm not going anywhere. You have a fan in me. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. All right, folks. It's late. It's 11, almost 11:30 here on the East Coast. I think we've accomplished what we can tonight in this Kohberger stream. Again, I'm going to keep my eyes on this as things will develop and come out. I think we still have some deeper conversations to be had. I want to see what these families say. I want to see what Steve and Christy are going to continue to talk about. And also, I think, down the road here pretty soon, you're going to start hearing people that were involved, maybe possibly on a witness list, that are going to start coming out and having deeper conversations and probably telling their stories. So I can't wait. I can't wait. And Lauren says, oh, I can't wait for the 50,000 party. I was there when you hit 40. Yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. And so on Sunday, we'll come back. We'll do the local show and talk about local issues here in the state of Massachusetts on the Sunday 617. You got to come over and check out that new segment. Last week, we had Jason Broyles, not Haley Walbrick, on. I have not forgotten about my Boston peeps. We're going to still continue to tackle cases here in the Massachusetts area. But on Sundays, we'll be using that time to do it. And as things ramp up and trials ramp up and maybe new information, we'll start bringing those over into the week. But I wanted to come back and circle around here to the Bryan Kohberger case because, again, it's come full circle here on the channel. Again, I had to step away for about 2 years and free Karen Reed, and we've accomplished that. And, look at we have a decision here in the Kohberger case. So I am thoroughly enjoying everything here with all of you. I appreciate you all coming back. Look out. We'll have some more Kohberger streams coming up. And then we're going to start diving into some of the local cases here in and around the great state, somewhat great state of Massachusetts. And, there's always plenty of things that I will find to talk about. So, again, I thank all of you for being here. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let's get this stream out into the algorithm. Let's try to get some new peeps in here to check out the channel. And I will be back. I'm going to probably be taking some time off next week. But Sunday show is definitely going to be here. Maybe we can get some guests up on the panel with us to talk about some of the most local things that are going on here in the area. I do want to play through a segment of David Yannetti and Robert Alessi just did a spot with Canton Confidential. We're going to play through and talk about that. And we have Brian Walsh's case is coming up soon here in October. I know I'm going to be deep diving into that and really putting that forefront here on the channel because I think we have a lot to get into there and debunk and figure out if some of these things that are kind of floating around now, if it holds any water. But Karen, thank you so much for becoming a level 2 member. I appreciate that. And we're going to head out. So everybody have a great night. I'll keep an eye on the Kohberger case. There's still going to be conversations, like I said, to be had. And I hope you'll all come back and join me on those conversations. All right, everybody, I'm going to head out. Thank you so much. I love all of you. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much tonight for the monetary support. It keeps the lights on here in the studio that we can keep doing this. And I look forward to our next stream. All right, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.